Everything that you know about discipline is wrong. Your understanding of what discipline is has actually been shaped by movies or motivational videos on the internet. Most of you believe that discipline is about constantly making earth-shattering efforts and feeling motivated 24/7. You subconsciously believe that a disciplined person is constantly swimming against the current. If you subscribe to this approach, I'm certain that you're going to fail at whatever endeavor that you do. You are not going to last 2 weeks before your motivation runs out. Most people do not realize this, but motivation is a fairly limited resource and is bound to run out. Motivation is just that initial spark. It's a vision of who you could be as a person if you got your act together. However, you need to capture this spark and turn it into a long-lasting fire. This is where discipline comes into play. Discipline is simply being able to do or not do certain things consistently, even in the absence of motivation. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to swim with the current rather than against it, and this will help you become more disciplined than 90% of the individuals around you who are still stuck using this outdated paradigm of using raw motivation. But first, let's talk about your childhood. Your self-image was being created back when you were just a little kid. Your mind observed the world around you and made a note of things. How you performed in school, how did your friends speak to you, how your parents treated you, how good were you at math. Based on all these observations, it created your self-image. Your self-image is essentially your core beliefs about yourself. It's the way that you see yourself. Even now, your brain takes those incidents that are in line with your self-image and treats them as evidence to reinforce that self-image. For example, you could be someone who was rather poor at math as a kid, and now 10 years later, when you make a calculation mistake, your mind counts that as evidence to justify your self-image. Aha, see, this proves it. You're actually quite bad at math. The reason why this self-image or identity are so important is because your body has a much easier time doing things that it believes are part of your identity. Really think about it. There are things that you do as of now in which you're fairly consistent at. For example, most people do not have a hard time in going to the washroom and brushing their teeth each morning. This is because brushing their teeth is now part of their identity. They've been doing it ever since they were little kids. Your mind fully believes that you are someone who brushes their teeth, and therefore this behavior has very low activation energy associated with it. In short, it becomes much easier to perform. On the other hand, things that are not part of your identity, it could be things like going to the gym or studying math every day, are going to have a much higher activation energy associated to them. Your mind believes that you are not the type of person who does these things, and so it hits the brakes and makes these behaviors seem very, very challenging. The true secret to discipline is making things part of your identity and therefore not having to rely on raw motivation in order to cross that barrier of high activation energy. Once that activity becomes a part of your identity, then the behavior becomes almost automated. So the question now becomes, how do you make things part of your identity? Think of your identities as boxes. The more votes you cast in a particular box, the stronger that particular identity gets. Let's say you're a person who has been working out for 1 hour every single day for the past 2 years. You have now casted a lot of votes in that box, and your identity has now become that of a person who works out for an hour every single day. It would take you very little effort to start another hour-long workout tomorrow. Whereas another person, let's take Joe for example, has not worked out in his entire life. He is going to have a hard time going to the gym. He's going to wonder what to wear to the gym. Where is the gym located? Should he drive to the gym or should he jog there? What exercises should he perform for an hour? Would the people at the gym judge his noodle arms? All these unanswered questions will increase the activation energy of the task and will make going to the gym much harder. But here's the secret formula. In order for Joe to make working out part of his identity, for the first couple of weeks, Joe's target should simply be to get inside the gym and do a 15-minute workout as opposed to an hour-long workout. His job should be to simply answer as many questions about the task as he can. By reducing the intensity of the task, the activation energy required for the task decreases. This way, Joe can perform the task, get the answers to his questions regarding the task, and build his identity. After a couple of weeks, the behavior of going to the gym for 15 minutes a day is going to feel easy and automated. Joe knows what time he goes to the gym. He knows what he wears to the gym. He knows what movements to perform. It's only then that Joe should increase the intensity of the task. Now, for example, he could add on more complicated movements and increase the duration of his workout, since he now has the identity of someone who works out. This principle is not just limited to working out. You could do this to get disciplined at multiple things. Rather than reading 10 pages a day, start by reading 1 page. Fix a time and venue for when you read. Rather than trying to study for 4 hours a day, start by just studying for 30 minutes a day. Your mind has a bunch of unanswered questions about each and every new task that you introduce. The more of these questions that it knows the answers to, the easier that task gets and the quicker it becomes part of your identity. This is what discipline is all about, having a bunch of things that you do consistently. Where most people go wrong is that they make the task way too intense before making it part of their identities, and as a result they quit. The secret is to first make the task as easy as possible to perform, make it a part of your identity, and then increase the intensity of that task. Believe it or not, there are a few other powerful ways in which you can further reduce this activation energy required to do a task. I've been able to stay consistent at multiple things such as training martial arts, reading, learning how to code, etc. using these principles. So make sure that you check out this video to get these other gems into your toolkit and start living the disciplined life that you always wanted to live.